1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, guys, get pumped because tomorrow is going to be the Town Hall Forum. It is Men's History Month. It's tomorrow, Thursday, August 8th, 2019, 7 p.m. at Bond in Los Angeles, is the Men's History Month Free Speech Forum with a whole bunch of cool guys. Will Witt, Stephen Bennell, a.k.a. Destiny, Brendio EEE, Brandon Tatum, Bentley Fierro, and Jesse Lee Peterson, and many other people. It's going to be audience participation. That's what a town hall is. So go to jesseleepeterson.com and get your tickets. Make sure you do it. But it is Wednesday, August 7th today, 4th hour of the Jesse Lee Peterson Show video stream. Thank you to Jesse for letting me join in on your stream. And I'm live every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m., and then also Sunday on my own channels, Hake channels. And you can also find the audio recordings of these episodes on the Hake Report podcasts. So typical podcast platforms: Apple, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and thehakereport.com. So here's something creepy, as I promised yesterday, and I will take your calls after this. I appreciate you guys calling in. 888-775-3773. But this Christchurch call is something that people are mad at Trump for not joining the United States into this Christchurch call. Very creepy thing. Christchurch is the city in New Zealand that had mosques. I don't know what a city called Christchurch is doing, having mosques. It's supposed to be a Christian city, huh? But it has Muslim mosques. And a Australian guy decided that he would take it upon himself to attack Muslims in New Zealand for overpopulating, so-called, allegedly, according to him. Because he's white and he believes he's a liberal. He believes in the climate change alarmism. And so he attacked the Muslims. And that further inspired mass shooter terrorists here that attacked Jews at a synagogue, and then they attacked Mexicans at a El Paso Walmart. And so the media is promoting this thing called the Christchurch Call to attack our First Amendment, really. Axios reports tech companies are willing to work more closely with the law enforcement to fight white nationalist terrorism. They don't want to fight Islamic terrorism. They want to fight white nationalist terrorism. But the industry is skeptical that the White House's seriousness on the issue. President Trump called on social media to do better monitoring in the wake of recent mass shootings, but the companies point out that the White House still has yet to sign on to the recommendations made in the wake of the Christchurch shooting. And this Christchurch call is just another creepy thing. Axios says Trump's speech that we all heard and some of us were disappointed in because he promoted red flag laws, which we don't support, condemned white supremacism, more fear-mongering about white people, right? But his call to social media companies asked them to detect mass shooters rather than purposely pursue any specific group like white nationalists. The question is how deeply the administration will want social media and law enforcement to go after extremists who support the president and often share his rhetoric. Well, that guy the El Paso shooter, it seemed more like he would support an Andrew Yang than a President Trump, because he supported a universal basic income for all people because they're going to run out of jobs, was what he was thinking, due to immigration and automation, which Andrew Yang also agreed with. Although he kind of says, it's not immigrants, it's automation. But, whatever. The Christchurch call is extremely creepy. They want to take out violent extremist content online as though it's not newsworthy. So you never know what these people are really thinking. And the true statements they make are not, or the statements they make are not scrutinized by the public. You're just told it was a racist screed. That's all you're told. They don't trust the public with information. Supporters include a bunch of far-left, liberal, self-destructive white countries, some Asian countries. I have the list of countries that you can put up. Look at this list. You do not want to be... Thank God that America is not on that list yet. Hopefully Trump does not join this. I don't think he will. It has Asian countries, maybe one African country. Thank God not America. But it also has American companies, though. Show the list of companies. Amazon, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Microsoft. Also the European platform Dailymotion and a European search engine called Quant. American companies and the media have bucked the spirit of the First Amendment, which is the protection of free speech. Because they're liberals, they don't believe in free speech. Because they tend to lose the argument, really. That's why they cry white supremacy on you when you say something that so-called white supremacists or white nationalists happen to also say. Not everything the white nationalist says is untrue. When you say something that's true that the white nationalists also say, then all of a sudden you're lumped in with white nationalists as though those are the worst people in the world. I'm pretty sure the worst people in the world are, I don't know. It's a battle of good versus evil. It's right versus wrong. Doesn't matter. Lump people in with white nationalism, that's fine. They're dumb. They're wrong. They referring to the people scaremongering about white supremacy. They believe in being everyone's mom and forcing the bullies, those bully white males, not to tell the truth, just to be nice. So thank you to the Trump administration. America has not officially entered into that agreement. In their reality, Joaquin Castro, you heard in the news today and probably yesterday, Joaquin Castro, who's working for his brother Julian Castro. They're like twin brothers, Mexican, not very manly looking guys. I don't know if they're Mexicans, but they're Hispanics, and they are promoting this meme from the left, pushing out and trying to shame Trump supporters, people who've donated to the Trump campaign. According to Politico, Joaquin Castro, a Democrat congressman from Texas, and chairman of the presidential campaign of his twin brother Julian, he was still shameless about having shared this information. He shared on Twitter names and occupations of his white or non-Hispanic constituents, which I've learned is the case, according to Mike Cernovich, who had maxed out their donations to President Donald Trump. His tweet contained a graphic saying, "Who's funding Trump?" and listed the names of 44 people who purportedly contributed the maximum amount that you're allowed to as an individual to the Trump campaign. And he said, "Sad to see so many San Antonians as 2019 maximum donors to Donald Trump," Castro wrote, naming local businesses whose owners were on the list, targeting for harassment. And their contributions are fueling a campaign of hate. Don't you just see this Christchurch call? They're going to name Trump supporters as violent extremists. You can just see it coming. Campaign of hate that labels Hispanic immigrants as invaders, which is what they are. He tweeted that out Tuesday afternoon. Congressman Steve Scalise, who was shot by a Trump Derangement Syndrome Democrat, guy that, fell for the Russia nonsense, fell for Rachel Maddow and all the stupid liberal media people. That guy shot Steve Scalise, Congressman Steve Scalise, and he barely survived. So he says that that's dangerous. Lives are at stake. But Castro doubles down and says, in his mind, in his reality, fake reality. The what Trump is doing is worse because it's making Hispanics seem like, it's making them targets of, well, for example, this El Paso mass shooter. But this El Paso mass shooter long held his views since before Trump, according to his manifesto, if that manifesto turns out to be real. And it doesn't matter anyway. Look at anybody can take anything that's true or false and run with it and kill people with it. Look at Black Lives Matter and the whole narrative of that. Multiple black guys, former Nation of Islam members, listened to that false narrative of police unfairly killing black people. And so they went and targeted and assassinated cops. Happened in New York City, happened in, whatever is it called? Baton Rouge, weird name, Louisiana. Happened in Dallas, Texas. And it's kind of constantly happening, actually, because blacks are very disproportionately cop killers. Like, they're 13% of the population, but 40% of cop killers in like a recent decade. And so, and that's all based on a lie. Trump tells the truth about the immigrant invasion, and he's not the only one. And somebody takes it and does evil with it. Trump's not an advocate for evil. He's telling the truth, but they want to pretend to blame it on Trump. And that's what I just see these, you've probably been a victim of it yourself, possibly. This social media crackdown on conservative speech, which happens to be true speech. You say something true, but it's not politically correct. Say something true about women or blacks or Hispanics or Muslims or anybody else, gays, anybody else who's not white, straight, male, Christian, and you get censored. That's just what you see. You can see it coming. And so, whatever, you just kind of have to know that that's how the world works right now. So, let me get to some calls. But I have some more information about these mass shootings and suicides and the hashtag #MeToo movement, how people don't think for themselves. It is so interesting. But first, let me get to some calls. John, out of Iowa, first-time caller. John, how are you?
All right, so you are focusing on the black proportion rate, but why are you not focusing on the poverty line? Because that's actually more directly correlated to violence. It seems like you do have a racial focus, and I would kind of accuse you of racism. I'm not a liberal, I am a Republican, but focusing on race in this manner is just disrespectful and an irresponsible way to look at statistics.
But you're looking at statistics, you're not looking at the individuals. You look at the individuals.
Hold on. Accurate to look at statistics around a broad socioeconomic standpoint instead of a racial individual standpoint.
No, man, because the individual races are all taught different things. For example, blacks are taught to believe in racism, and they are 40% of cop killers.
That is a focus on the system. That is not a focus on a background on a certain culture.
Yeah, culture. It's not poverty. Poverty does not cause violence. You can. No, it does not.
Poverty is associated with more crime and violence.
You can associate it with it, but it does. Hey,
you are more
John.
exposed to a life of violence.
John, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Poverty does not cause violence. You can associate it. You can associate it with it. Hey, hold on. You can associate it with it because crime causes poverty.
Okay,
Hold on,
violence,
John.
bro.
Hold on. Turn off your radio too, because I'm hearing the show afterwards. John, turn off your show.
Turn off the. All right, I'll mute it.
Yeah, mute it. Jeez. The screener, make sure you tell him that stuff. So, John, you've been brainwashed by the education system. I can quite tell. Yeah, because that doesn't cause violence. Immorality causes poverty. It causes violence. It causes crime. Immorality causes those things. And when you have a crime-ridden community, nobody's going to want to set up shop over there, set up businesses. Crime causes poverty, not the other way around. I mean, it can become, I guess you can call it a vicious circle, but do you believe in God? Because you're acting like an atheist socialist, even though you claim to be a Republican, which I'm going to take your word for it as being a Republican, but you are definitely brainwashed.
I am a Republican.
You know, that's fine. That's fine. I believe it. Okay. But you're acting like your words. Hey, listen. You're acting like a brainwashed person because you're not thinking for yourself. You're taking in an atheistic mindset where just your outside economic world is what causes how you act. And this education stuff prevents people from committing crimes, but that's not reality. You're not looking at the spirit of how people are raised and brought up. You know very well, I think most people do, that blacks are taught to hate cops. And that's not a poverty thing. That goes from rich to poor. They hate, black liberals specifically. Most blacks are liberals. So they're taught to hate cops. And then disproportionately, they are also born out of wedlock. And you believe in this racism thing. That's another brainwashing thing from the education system. So you should check what you've learned and start questioning things, because it's not gonna, you're basically becoming a tool. You're becoming a useful idiot for the left, just like those rhino politicians are, who are giving in to the gun control. Do you support gun control crap?
No, I don't.
Okay, good. But yeah, it's not racist. I mean, racism is irrelevant. It's not even a real thing.
So
how did you find this show?
Race is not racist.
How did you find this show?
It's on the Mixer.
Okay,
app.
right on. Nice. Yeah. We joined Mixer. We are on. Shout out to Mixer, D Live, Twitch for church only. We're not on Twitch for this. And then YouTube and Periscope. Yeah.
So my question is, why does religion have any relevance to if this is a racist topic or not?
Because I don't even believe in the racism narrative, first of all. And I said the religion thing because you believe in crime being, you seem to believe in crime being caused by poverty. And you want to hide your face from the reality that blacks are taught to hate cops and whites, and they have disproportionate violence across the world because they tend to be in a godless culture. And you seem to think that like you give people more money and they'll stop being violent. That's not reality, man. Basically, you're looking down on poor people and violent people, and you're not considering individual responsibility.
I mean, if you want to really get into the argument, I can pull up some real actual statistics between blacks and poverty, and we can compare the p-values.
I truly don't care what you're talking about because you're brainwashed. You're not looking at You're looking at statistics. You're not looking at,
because I'm looking at real numbers.
Yeah, you're not looking. Hey, John, you're not looking at cause and effect.
That is entirely what statistics is based on.
No, it doesn't. Statistics only cause. Hold on, John. Hey, John. I'm going to put you on hold. John, you got to listen, man. When I'm telling rules for the radio show, when a host is trying to talk to you, you shut up when they're trying to talk to you. John, you there?
Yeah, well, you've cut out for me more than continuing the discussion. Sir.
Hey, John, you there?
Have a good day.
What a coward. Okay, so he's lying when he says that statistics are about cause and effect. They're not. It's about correlation. And you can draw a correlation. Something happens, something else happens. People shoot, somebody dies. That's a cause, right? But a lot of times people are poor, and a lot of times the poor people commit crimes, right? One doesn't cause the other. The poverty doesn't cause the crime. You can't say correlation is causation. So he's really dumb. And he was a coward and he ran away. Another one bites the dust. Richard out of Georgia. How are you doing, Richard?
Hi, sir. How are you?
Fine.
I am honored to be on the Hake report for my second time.
Right on.
I am that centrist that you spoke to earlier that believed in social economic goals.
Okay, I don't remember. Happy Men's History Month.
Say again, sir?
Happy Men's History Month.
Oh, yeah. Happy Men's History Month, I guess. Like,
You guess?
I am a man, so I'll support this one.
All right. Right on.
But yeah, like, I just want to talk to you about basically a lot of this stuff, if you think about it, have been, white nationalists, white supremacy, and all this stuff been going into the media from all these mass shootings and nonsense in the media. And in your show, well, not just your show, but in Justin Lee Peterson's show, they'll talk about, okay, don't forget about the Farrakhan guy. I can't remember his name.
Louis Farrakhan.
But, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. But, like, I really feel like the problem is, well, not really that will prevent shooting, but that people feel is that many people feel like they fall into this disenfranchised victim state that they don't feel like a true American. And because our country was built secular and without like clear goals, like what it is an American, because it was just based on free trade, people constantly revert to ideas of their past, their culture, their ethnicity. Like, I really feel that it'll truly benefit the whole country if we actually had, like, it's not even a department, but just something that everybody, I don't care the ethnicity, the sex, the gender, like, whatever you want to call yourself, like, you are an American, and, like, that's who you are. So, like, forget all that other nonsense you want to talk about. You're an American. This is our law. This is what we believe, what we value, and you need to follow along with that.
It would be nice. It would be nice not to have people divided and hung up on, white versus the rest of the world, really, or white men versus the rest of the world. But it's not going to stop. You're just going to have to face that the evil people, the people hung up on anti-whiteness, anti-men, anti-American, they're going to continue to think that way. And yes, when you
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like the only reason they think that way is because our country is extremely free, right? In Europe, they have history of kings. Or in the UK, they still have a queen, right? So, like in Asia and Japan, like they have emperors, like they have this established history for their culture.
But their cultures are dying too, man. Have you noticed?
Like, okay, you free, do your thing, make money, live your life. But people are, when people are given that choice, it's just like when you are out and about, you go to places, is it like a jazz club, is it like a museum or a library, you self-segregate. Like, you find people
but there's
that
nothing,
think and feel the exact same way you do.
Right, there's
and
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with self-segregating. But Richard, the problem is not that we're free. These problems are worldwide. People are always dividing and hating each other constantly around the world. And those countries that have the rich past and all that, like a long ancient history, the only ones that are surviving really, somewhat, are the ones that are not taking in all the immigrants. Those European countries, those are dying worse, maybe worse than America. I don't know. They're dying too, though.
I'm trying to bring up, like, if we can establish a American nationality. Like, hey, if you are an American, you are an American.
Yeah.
If you want to come here, you need to become an American.
Yes.
Whatever that's, those steps and process need to be. Like,
Yeah.
you need to adopt, believe in, and follow these ideologies.
Right.
It's fine if you want to do your own thing, but in the end, you're an American. Like, okay, if you're a female, you want to wear a dress, you want to do this or whatever, like, that's cool, do your thing. But in the end of the day, you're an American, and you have to follow X, Y, Z.
Right.
And if we can establish a simple, roadblock like that, yes, okay, you can come from my country, but you're going to have to do this, feel this kind of way, and believe this. Like, this is going to have to be part of your integrity, your soul. Like, this is going to have to be part of you. Like,
we would have to,
okay, if you white, black, whoever.
Richard, we would have to be.
Americans supposed to be.
We would have to be much more strict on who we let in, if we would be that way.
That's what I'm saying.
Because we're letting in people who are basically socialist anti-Americans. And then we have, a lot of these Muslims, basically the same thing, socialist anti-Americans, anti-Christian.
Okay, hold on, wait.
Yeah.
So remember, a week ago, we spoke about the same thing.
Uh-huh.
I feel a little different about socioeconomics, but
you're the Bernie supporter.
Extremely strict on who we let in. Like, who is in America and who is an American is extremely important.
All right. You're the one who was leaning towards Bernie, and you wanted and you don't think that you're going to vote for Trump, but I was trying to see if you were going to vote for Trump if it wasn't Bernie.
It depends on the situation, because Trump is the only person who he stands his ground, he speaks his mind. He's not a politician, and every time he's on the news, you can see that.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't speak eloquently or try to lie to people. He says exactly what he believes.
Yep.
And so, if not anything else, that's a reason to believe in him, because he don't know how to lie to a big group of people. He only know how to make a small deal. So, I can see why people like Trump, just because he's original. There has never been anybody else like him. Right. But at the same time, we need to, we are too divided in this country.
Hey, man, Richard, were you aware of the division in the country under Obama?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, same thing with Trump. It's just that Obama was dividing the country for evil. Trump is doing it for good. You don't fall for Bernie, man. But anyways, you do what you want. I gotta go, Richard. I appreciate the call. Very nice. I agree. We all need to be Americans.
Will you say that if we had a stronger nationalistic sense on what an American is, that would be better for the country?
That would be better. I totally agree.
All right. Have a good day, Mr. Hake.
All right. You as well, Richard. Appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Thanks, sir.
All right. Bye. By the way, did I when I mentioned this Joaquin Castro, show that Cernovich tweet, because Mike Cernovich tweeted about, he's been on Jesse's show before multiple times. He said, "I won't dox people as Joaquin Castro did." Joaquin Castro from Texas. "But I can confirm that his target list omitted Latino donors in San Antonio for Trump." So maybe there were some Latinos who donated the maximum amount for Trump. This means Castro specifically singled out donors for their race, meaning anti-white, in violation of federal hate crime laws. Interesting. Huh. That's what Mike Cernovich tweeted. Thank you for the tip, Mike Cernovich. But yeah, we all knew already that Joaquin Castro and his brother Julian Castro are just typical Democrat white people haters. Let me get to some more calls. Nick, out of St. Louis. How are you?
Hey, what up, Hake?
Hey.
What's going on?
Not much, man.
Okay, my question today is for you personally.
Yeah.
What is it? What's the definition of a white nationalist?
A white nationalist is somebody who wants to keep their country or start a country that is whites only or white majority. I think that's what a white nationalist is in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that definition, what do you identify with personally?
With that
agree
definition,
with?
definition, I do agree with keeping it white majority. America was started by whites, and whites tend to be conservative and pro-preserving America, pro-actual real justice. You know, I'm talking about the majorities, as opposed to the majorities of the POCs, who who tend to be Democrats and brainwashed. It is getting worse among the whites, but regardless, I still think that it should be a white majority. And they do say some true statements. And they say stuff like whites are being replaced. They're becoming minority. It's not the media act like it's a conspiracy theory when they point it out themselves. And so they are becoming a minority in their own country by them failing to have babies, white babies, and them failing to keep out immigrants who are having tons of babies. And the solution is definitely not what the El Paso shooter did, definitely not what the Christchurch shooter did, because those people wanted to start a civil war and increase the attack on white people, the attack on the Second Amendment, and basically balkanize. By balkanizing, I just mean really totally dividing people to the point where Joaquin Castro feels justified basically putting up a bunch of names of Trump supporters and saying, hey, target these people. These people are anti-brown. In reality, he's anti-white, right? And that is kind of a result of these shootings, because these shootings, people are really not thinking for themselves. Every time a shooting comes up, predictably talk about gun control, talk about white people, because a lot of these times, most of the times when the shootings are publicized, it's by whites. And I'm getting told, by the way, Castro's mother is a radical Democrat activist who has been a left-wing agitator since LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, who is a horrible person. Very well-known Texas Democrat politics. They're very privileged brown people. But anyways, like the white nationalists, they are right that there is an attack on white people. And anti-racism is anti-white. Pro-diversity is anti-white. You know, they talk about El Paso being very diverse, right? But it's 70% one thing, 70% Hispanic. That's not very diverse. If America were 70% white, they would be like, America is not diverse enough. And in fact, America is 70% and declining. It's like 66% white non-Hispanic, right? It's actually 63% white non-Hispanic. And so, and it used to be something like 85 or, I don't know, close to 90% white, maybe more than that at one point in history. And they've purposely taken that away. And that was under, 1965 Immigration Act. There's been, those are true statements by the white nationalists that other non-white nationalists also think. And what's so bad about being a white nationalist is it's not the best thing to be, but there are black nationalists. They tend to be a little bit better behaved than the gang members say. You know, all these Nation of Islam, those are basically black nationalists. Those people generally they're told to sit up straight, be well behaved, be polite. And yes, they are hated because they hate Jews. And so they do get targeted too sometimes, but to a lesser extent. They're not as big of a threat, I guess. But you can have any ideology as long as you behave right and you don't hate. Then sooner or later, maybe your ideology will fix itself to being whatever the right one is. But people aren't given that freedom nowadays. Nowadays, if you say something true and it happens to be repeated by somebody who did something wrong, it's kind of I kind of sympathize with Ilhan Omar saying some people did something, and now everybody has to. She's referring to Muslim terrorists committed a violent act, and now Muslims have to be afraid of Islamophobia. Well, whites committed a terror attack, and now we have to deal with white phobia, but nobody's taking up for the attack on whites, except for people that are being falsely labeled white nationalists, like Trump, like Tucker Carlson, like Jesse Lee Peterson is being called a black white supremacist, just for telling the truth and standing for love and unity. Those three people that I've named, Trump, Tucker, Jesse, those are some of the three like best people on the public stage in terms of bringing back truth and sanity and uniting the country, but they're being maligned. So that's and that's why like a lot of white nationalists go to extreme, because they're like, forget it, but they're just getting frustrated. So on the anger thing is basically the only thing that they're wrong about, and then also in their anger they start to believe some kooky, crazy things. Like they start to falsely accuse Jesse and me and other people.
Yeah, the thing that you said that I wanted to kind of get back to was that you said maybe being a white nationalist isn't the best thing to be.
Right.
I was going to ask you, what things about being a white nationalist do you disagree with?
The main thing is the anger. And then there's certain things that they say that I totally just don't think is true. Well, I don't know if it's all white nationalists, right? But some of them think that Trump is a Zionist shill. And they say the same thing about Jesse and me, and they think that I'm Jewish, which is so ridiculous, right? But they, so when they go crazy, then that's when they're angry. And that's basically, you can disagree with anybody when they're angry. They're wrong. And that's all it is. It's good versus evil. But there's this, we should break it down to good versus evil, because then some Democrats who are honest, but they're just stuck in their mindset, right, will realize, hey, I have the evil in me. And then they can wake up and come out of that fallen state of a party, right? And so if you break it down to good versus evil, then anybody can be guilty of evil. But only whites can be guilty of white supremacy, except for Jesse, too. So it's...
And
yeah.
Couple more things.
All right.
Are there any... What would be a myth, like a big, big, big thing that you would say is a total myth about a white nationalist?
The myth that is said about them, or the myth that they believe in?
A myth that it will be said about them.
That they're a big threat, because by labeling them a big threat, and that's actually a destructive one, because by labeling them as a big threat, you are increasing the attack on whites, and it's only further encouraging the division and hatred on both sides. You're spreading a lie about them, and lies are necessarily destructive. If the white nationalists can overcome being angry about being lied about, then they can see the right way to go rather than overreact, because the overreaction, all these attacks are from an overreaction to the attack on whites.
Right. Final question, I'll let you
All
go.
right.
Are you a white nationalist?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean,
all right, thanks, Hake.
I guess I might be in the sense that I think that it should stay a white majority, but I don't think that makes me, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks, Hake.
All right, yeah, thank you. Nice to hear from you, Nick.
Bye.
Bye. Charles, first-time caller out of Massachusetts. How are you, Charles?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Fine, thank you.
All right, so our question was, currently living with a girlfriend, and we did have a child out of wedlock. I was just sort of wondering how to, make it right.
You know, I recommend talking to Jesse on this one.
Okay.
You aware that he has counseling?
No.
He offers...
I listened to the show not too long ago.
Okay, you can call into his radio show, of course, and if you talk on air, like whatever you're willing to share that you don't mind other people hearing, that's great, and it can be beneficial to others. But we also do offer private one-on-one or two-on-one if you want your girlfriend involved. Phone counseling, you can conduct it over the phone. Call into the bond office. I can give you the phone number.
Yeah, let me write that down.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready. But
you know what? Go ahead.
Okay, it's area code 323-782-1980. 323-782-1980. And that's the bond. That's the bond office nonprofit. Jesse Lee Peterson's nonprofit, and they can schedule and give you. Well, they can give you the details on the counseling, schedule it for you, work out the details. It's definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna take a look into that.
Cool, man.
I like what Jesse's about. So.
Yeah. I wish you well. Happy Men's History Month. A lot of guys are making babies out of wedlock. Not wise, but better than having an abortion.
I don't know, man. It's like I just feel like guilty, but.
Well, I mean, what's done is done. No use feeling guilty about it, but definitely, I think you'll definitely appreciate Jesse's advice, and you can call Jesse's show tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. your time, or a minute before. Phones usually kick on a minute or two before 9 your time. You're in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And
so
you can get in on air that way.
The 1980, or is it the Jesse number?
The number that you just called here is the radio show number, the 888-77-JESSE or 888-775-3773. That's the number to call the radio show. But that other number is to call the office.
The counseling. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Charles.
All right.
Take care.
Yeah, no problem.
Craig out of Chicago, Illinois. Craig, how are you?
Hey, James. How you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you. Happy Men's History Month.
Same to you, brother. Hey, I just wanted to talk to you about what you mentioned earlier about poverty.
Yeah, poverty.
Myself, I was brought up in the Chicago area in the Cabrini Green Housing Project.
Yeah.
And what we experienced, it wasn't the Caucasian race. It was our own race. I mean, the hatred towards one another.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it basically came down to. And then as far as like me now waking up to reality, from the Democrat Party and seeing what they're doing to try to get people to hate one another, that's not good as well.
How old are you, Craig?
I'm 42 years old, sir.
Okay.
So I wanted to bring this up to your attention too. Online, they say a lot of things about Trump, and they haven't even got to open up their eyes to reality to see what this man has done for this country.
Yeah.
I'm doing all my comparison to what the other guy that was in office for 8 years, and I'm pretty much disappointed in him because he did nothing, like Jesse said, and not just because Jesse said, but it's true. He did nothing but divided this country. He didn't try to unite everybody. So that I was disappointed, and I voted for this man 2 times.
Wow.
And now that I know, man.
But hey, man,
now that I actually,
you know what I regret voting for John McCain and Mitt Romney, and kind of almost George W. Bush. Although I'm glad that Al, whatever that guy's name is, the one who made that Inconvenient Truth propaganda movie about Al Gore. Yeah, but yeah, you shouldn't have voted for Obama.
Yeah,
but
I didn't know, I didn't know about you guys until I started, browsing through YouTube. But I'm glad that I was finally got a chance to browse through YouTube and got somebody that's on the side of right that's telling us the truth out here, because it's all lies. And then another thing, okay, I'm going to bring this up, and I may be called a coon for this, but you know what? There's a lot, not all, but most black people think that all Caucasians, all they do is shoot up and shoot up schools and all that. That is not true.
They don't think that.
They're judging.
I don't think they think that. They just like to bring it up because it's something that, at least according to like the way that the media promotes it, is unique to whites, or disproportionately whites or something like that. I question it. I think
But
it
they're
is. I think it
considered
is a lot of
as
whites.
white terrorists. Not
Whites,
good.
yeah. I think whites tend to have pent up emotions more, and so do Asians, and
Yeah.
and so yeah, maybe they do this attacks on innocent people more often. But incidentally, the blacks find an excuse to do it when they turn Muslim radical. You know, you've seen it with.
I agree.
But
and you know, not just all the Caucasians are. It's both sides in each race that has someone that's evil. It has nothing to do with race. I mean, look at the DC snipers. What color were they?
Yeah,
okay?
Black.
There's other men of color that was doing something that was bad too.
And you know what?
They're not bringing up that narrative.
It's really good versus evil. So you have to just acknowledge like different people are going to have different evils about them. Like they're just going to have different symptoms of the same root problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I got, James.
All right, appreciate it, Craig.
Just seeing what y'all doing, man. I appreciate you, brothers, man. God bless y'all, man.
Nice. Men's History Month.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye. Alex, out of Colorado. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Happy Men's History Month.
Happy Men's History Month to you. First-time caller, I think.
Yep. First time on the Hake show.
Right on.
How's it going? I had a question.
Okay.
Why should conservatives vote for Trump after his most recent speech?
Because on the whole, he is still for us. He was wrong about red flag laws. He was wrong about scapegoating white supremacism. But even still, he is for us. Don't take individual statements too seriously, because look, his overall message has been pro-gun. And remember, he wanted. There was a line in a speech in his State of the Union address that one person that I know picked up on and just will not let go. And that line was, "I want more immigrants than ever, but I want them to come legally." And yes, I totally disagree with that. I don't want more immigrants than ever to come. But he's still the man for the job, and he's a man like nobody else we've seen in office.
That is true.
He's stood up.
I've only been able to vote once, and I did vote for him.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely new to this, but it's just almost a lesser of two evils. You know, if it's unconstitutional, it's unconstitutional.
Yeah. You know, I'm not at all for red flag laws, and somebody needs to get his ear, other than his daughter, and tell him, you know, remind him of his sense. But yeah, I heard, and I don't know, I heard that Reagan was a good president. I had the impression that he was, but a whole lot of problems came out of Reagan too, right? He brought no-fault divorce, I think, into the country was what I heard, and he brought,
what is that again?
No-fault divorce, and this was Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan was like a good president. He gave amnesty when we didn't want amnesty. He was tricked into, amnesty for a wall, no more immigration, right? Or whatever. I don't know exactly what deal it was, but they backstabbed him, right? Yeah. And he, all kinds of madness came from Ronald Reagan, right? But I think he was good on some things. And he was like seriously really good, I think, based on the impression that I get from the older people. And I think that Trump is even better, but there's going to be things that we disagree with. So I still say vote for Trump. He didn't betray you. Yes, I mean, I guess you can see this red flags nod as a betrayal, but don't be emotional like that. Don't be dramatic like that. We're losing the country, and we can't afford to bail on Trump. Trump is loyal. Yes, he makes mistakes like this, but he's loyal. And don't be disloyal to him just because you disagree with this issue, especially not because you're mad. You know what I mean?
Fair. I definitely.
And I'm not talking to you in specific. I'm talking to everybody because I see a whole lot of people really disappointed in this, and I understand it. I'm concerned too.
Well, in part of his speech, he says, the obvious that it needs to be bipartisan.
Yeah.
And so, just like the wall, that hasn't gotten done, which is a disappointment, but.
You know, he's
I don't know. Let's
still
just
working
hope.
on that. He's fighting every day for that. I believe he's doing everything that he can for it. He's doing everything that a president should do for that wall.
Well, with one executive order, he banned bump stocks, and most of us hadn't even heard of them.
Right.
And he tried to executive order the wall and then rescinded it, from
You
what
know-
I understand.
Well, listen, there's a whole lot of stuff going on with the wall. Everything that he's done, the courts, the Congress, his own executive branch has worked to undermine him to the point where Obama was reportedly deporting more than Trump can now, because they're forcing us to keep these so-called would-be refugees, which most of them are not, but we're still forced to keep them anyways, even knowing that most of them are not. And most of them are dishonest and won't show up to their court hearings and stuff like that. Trump is doing everything that he can, I think.
I believe that. Yeah, I believe that. It's just easy to get emotional, I guess, and angered.
Yeah. It's, it's...
About this gun confiscation.
He strikes me as an honest
two-sided.
person. All right, Alex, I appreciate that, man.
All right. Hey, thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Tony, first-time caller out of New York. How are you?
Hey, what's up, my man?
Not much.
The Hake boy, Hake boy, la la la.
Hey, come closer to your phone, man.
Hey, all right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So, white nationalism, to me, just sounds like a white person who loves their country and nothing else. What do you think about that? I mean,
that's
that's
how Jesse reads it too, and I can get on board with that. Just because he calls himself a black nationalist, but he's not for a blacks only country. He's a nationalist who happens to be black, and that's really what it is when you look at how the media smear people as white nationalists. Right. And, the liberals, they smear Trump as a white nationalist. He's a nationalist who happens to be white. And he loves all people. He loves whites. He doesn't really fall for the racism thing because he just attacks all people. And attacks, or the sexism thing. It's so nice.
Right. And can you hear me?
Yeah.
And I think reassigning the meaning to white nationalism to mean white ethno-state is really obvious, just an attack on white people who love their country. That's plain and simple.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
And one quick question before I go. There's an inside joke that you guys always do on the Jesse Lee Peterson show.
Okay.
And I don't understand it. I really want to be in on it. It's when Jesse says, quoting Hillary Clinton, he says, "I don't feel no way tired.
Yeah.
I feel like going on." What does he talk about when he says that?
Okay, so years back, Hillary Clinton must have been campaigning or something. And she was doing a speech in a black church because black churches like to engage in liberal politics, right? And so she started kicking into this Southern black-sounding accent, right? And it's just totally kissing up and sounding like she's black almost. And you've heard some people do it really embarrassingly, like Alexandria Cortez. Cortez did it too, with a black-sounding accent when she was speaking at, what was it, National Action Network? Was she talking to Al Sharpton's group? I don't know, but so Hillary Clinton started speaking, and she's like, do we have it? Do you have it? If you can find it, Nick, that'd be funny. But
do you know the keywords I would search to find that clip?
Oh, just Google, "I don't feel no ways tired, Hillary." You will see it.
No ways tired.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Hake, and happy Men's History Month to you, brother.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate that. You too.
Take care.
You as well. Bye. George, out of New York. George, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine. No man is good.
Yeah, that's true. So I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Do you think that Because I sort of heard of this term called Trump Derangement Syndrome.
Yes,
right?
I use it pretty frequently.
You do? Okay, so I've heard of this, and I didn't quite really understand what it was, but I have we're friends, but I don't know, he's kind of lost his mind. But let me get back to the whole reason why I brought it up was because, this is a guy who, for whatever reason, he's confessed to me, before he'll tell me right out, I'll say like, well, what if Trump, what about all these things that he's doing? He'll say, and he'll just flat out say, I don't care what he does. I just don't like him. I don't trust him. So that's why I bring up this point is there a cure for this TDS thing? Or no, it's incurable.
There is a cure for it, but it can't be administered. It has to be basically like self-administered. Like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can, the best thing that you can do is be patient with him. Be a good example. And be a good example of a Trump supporter, right? Like represent Trump supporters well. Don't kiss up. But just don't be mad at him. Don't get impatient. Don't try to force him. If he's willing to take in information, that's great. If he's willing to have a discussion about the things that he didn't like that Trump said, maybe, because there's got to be something. Mm-hmm. He can't just. There's very rarely that you're going to just say, I just don't like him and I had nothing else to say about it. If you're friends with him for a long time, something's going to come up, right? So if he's willing to have a conversation about that, great. But
as far as I know, and I don't know if this is actually true now, because the story that he told me, it sounds so absurd that I find it very difficult to believe. But I understand there are very overly emotional men, and they kind of react to this. But I kept asking him, well, why did you like him? And he'll say, I just don't like him. Why do you like him? I just don't like him. Why? So I kept asking him. I said, well, what is it? I mean, there's got to be something. And then he said to me, this is what he said, the reason why he doesn't like Trump. Okay, now listen to this. He said because one time he was standing outside of, I guess, one of these Trump buildings in New York, and he was with a crowd of people there, and he wanted to go and, I guess, I don't know, say hello to Trump or take a picture or something. And I guess he told me that he was going to come near him, but some bodyguards came and kind of like pushed him away. And because of that, he said, that's why I don't like Trump.
That's ridiculous.
And I said, what? So all this mess is because of this?
You should call him a beta male for that, because that's ridiculous.
I'm thinking that's what it is, because I'm like, so all of this anger and all this hatred, not looking at anything factual or anything, is because of this scenario that happened God knows when? I mean, I find it hard to believe.
Yeah, I don't think there's a cure for that, man. You're lucky maybe you're lucky, I don't know. You're kind of lucky that you're still friends with him, because most people with Trump Derangement Syndrome, they alienate their friends real fast. And, they hate Trump supporters.
He's one of two. I have another one who kind of just started to insult me.
Yeah.
Because I send him like Jesse videos, so he gets mad and stuff.
Right. Can't force this stuff on people. I appreciate that, George. Interesting story, man.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
All right. Take care. Last quick one with Nissan, I think, out of the Bronx. Nissan, is that how you pronounce it?
My first name?
Yeah.
Nissan.
Okay. Nissan.
Like the car, Nissan.
All right. First time caller. Nice.
It's Armenian.
Oh, right on.
But I'm from the Bronx.
Okay.
New York.
Yep. How can I help you?
Who is it?
This is James from the Hake Report.
Am I live?
Yes.
I was wondering about your accent. How did you get the accent?
My accent?
Like Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore?
It's kind of a surfer. It's like a stoner accent. I was just wondering how you got it.
I'm flattered. I grew up amongst my white family. And
I'm white.
Yeah. And then, Southern California. And then I also grew up amongst Hispanics and Asians. And I kind of, may have picked up some mannerisms from those people too. I've said before, I sometimes talk like a beaner. But
I don't hear it. I live in
I don't
the
really.
Bronx.
I don't think I have that as much.
70% Hispanic.
Say that again.
70% Hispanic. Right, but I don't hear it. I hear surfer.
Right on. I appreciate that. Well, my cousins were surfers, so that's cool. And then too, like when I'm on the radio, I try to talk lively, and maybe the best lively accent that I have is surfer. But a lot of people accuse me of sounding like Jesse because I am trying to speak lively, and Jesse's the only person I hear all day. I can't do Rush. I can't do Hannity. I do try to imitate Hannity at times when I'm reading news. But and I also like imitate news readers in my mind. I'm thinking about. I'm not. I'm just trying to talk, right? But trying to be interesting too.
Right. I just hear California. So.
All right. Right on. Yeah, California is correct.
Well, thank you for the call.
All right. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you, sir.
Bless you. Okay.
You as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That about wraps up the show, man. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to YouTube, Mixer. Thank you to John for calling in from Mixer. That was awesome, even though he hung up on me when I was trying to make the point that correlation is not causation. Statistics 101. But I still appreciate it. And people really don't think for themselves. I'm going to talk about how tomorrow, about these mass shootings, suicide, Me Too movement, and how we're just kind of like directed by the outside world. It's kind of crazy. So, all right, guys. See you tomorrow. TheHakeReport.com. Make sure you go to JesseLeePeterson.com and sign up for that town hall forum tomorrow, Thursday, August 8th, 7 p.m. Bond in Los Angeles. It's going to be cool. So be there or be trying to be cute. All right, guys. Bye.